Hello everyone, good evening and welcome back to the OWLS Esports YouTube channel. As today we're heading to round 6 of the OWLS Racing League. Of course, we've had a very interesting first half of the season, as now we make our way into the second half of the season. And of course, this is sometimes where we see a bit of a turning point in the standings. So we'll have a quick look at who sits where heading into this one. And it is still Puzzant who tops the standings on 119 points, looking to go back-to-back with titles. And then it's HB Cook, who's only 35 points off in second place on 84. Then we have Anteto Compass on 69 in third. That's 50 exact points off of the leader. Then we have Liam 54, who of course took that victory in Monaco, in fourth place, with Ben WAWAW in fifth place on 44 points. So very close up in that top 5. But of course, something that could make it a little bit closer heading into round number 6 here at Belgium is that we haven't got Puzzant taking part. They are absent for tonight, which does give HB Cook potentially that chance of going only 10 points back heading into the rest of the season. And we'll have a quick look at how the calendar looks for the remainder of this one. Of course, we're here today, 8th of Feb, for Spa-Francorchamps for the Belgian Grand Prix. And then next week, we take a short trip over the border to Austria as we head to Spielberg at the Red Bull Ring. Then we have Singapore that welcomes us for round 8, pretty much a long version of Monaco. Then it's round 9 at Silverstone, our home circuit, or many of our home circuit. And then, of course, round 10 at Las Vegas. Now, that will be an interesting race if that's the one that we have to decide the championship. But with the way it's going right now, I'm sure that it could easily be over just before then. But we are getting through in towards the qualifying action, so we'll quickly pop over to the game screen and you should be able to see the track in all its glory. So, of course, a big welcome to everybody here tonight. Oh, that's a bit of a slide, and that's a way to make your way through Lacom from Haggy67. I think that is safe to say. I think part of it was also due to a bit of lag. So I'm just trying to make the game a little bit louder as it's very quiet, so I can see. So bear with me, guys. But of course, a big hello to everybody in the chat. As always, great to have you all in here supporting us. Just quickly getting everything sorted out. And then we should be good to go. Just move that. There we are. Perfect. So, right, we'll jump back into the game and continue on. So, of course, we are just getting underway with this qualifying session. And, of course, we've got Haggy out on track. We've got Dare to New Hio, who, of course, we have got a few drivers who, of course, have got different names in game to what they have on the standings. So, of course, in the game for Haas, it's Dare to New Hio, but in Discord and on the standings, it is Chef Tom. So, a couple of drivers have different names. The main one, and I didn't pick up on this until after Baku, was Newt Panda. He's actually Anteto Compass. So when I said that the Hungarian driver wasn't here, I was completely wrong. They were here, and I think they even won the race. But of course, I didn't realise it was the same person with 2 different names. So I hope, guys, by the end of this season, we'll get used to who's got what name. As we have got Haggy in the Williams on a flying lap now, making his way out of La Source through up towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Of course, a big hill. I think it's the steepest hill in Formula 1. Well, the steepest elevation change. Oh, dear me. That's not the line to be taken there from Haggy. And that is somehow not a DNF. I mean, hitting the wall at 180 miles an hour normally consolidates a DNF. So, interesting for the Williams, but certainly a bit of a let-off, as here is Moose TTV, who also runs under a different name. It's Jay Thomas in the Discord and on the standings, but of course it's Moose TTV here in game, so we'll see what he can do in his first flying lap as he heads down towards the Lacom chicane, nicely through there. Of course, keeping the car pinned all the way through that section. Then it's through Malmedy and down towards Brussels corner at turn number 9. It turned in nicely, keep it tight to that apex, and it's open up the throttle on the exit in towards No Name, or Jackie X, or whatever else it's called. It's got a million names, but for some reason we always go back to No Name. And then it will be Puon, or Double Gauche, as it's also known as. Oh, very close to going wide there and invalidating for Moose TTV, but makes it through nicely. And then, of course, it's Lafania Chicane to go through next. As you can see, they're just coasting the car through. Then in towards Stavelo and Paul Frere. Those are the two next corners that you make your way through on this circuit. Of course, Belgium is one of those tracks where I think it's the longest lap on the calendar. It's over 1 minute and 45 seconds for some. Can sometimes be a bit lower than that. But you are into the mid 1 minute 40, so it does make it a very long lap, which means there's lots of error for mistakes, exactly like the one there for Moose TTV, who unfortunately went wide at Blanchimont corner. And of course, that will not be a lap time set on the board. Next, we do not have Nuke Panda. They've also found an invalidation. So I'm just trying to go on board with someone here heading through into the final couple of corners. We have Liam Bearder here for Kick Saber, making his way through those final corners, and I think will be the first driver to set a lap time on the board. And it's a 1:43.994, a nice opening lap indeed from him. And we'll go on board with, who shall we go with? Should we go with the McLaren? We will. We'll go with Harvey LFC05. As it's Swaggy who goes just a tenth quicker than Liam Bearder with a 1:43.841. Nice competitive lap to open things up here for the V-Carb driver. We've got Haas, and then of course we have got Harvey and Haggy as all DME binned it at the same place as they did before, and it's at the top of Eau Rouge, and it seems to have gone straight on there, so that's not good at all for Haggy as Harvey goes up into second place. And we do see as well Grief DVM go up into P4 there with a 1:44.330. Let's keep an eye here on Liam. Of course, took the win in Monaco. Liam 54, we also know him as. So we'll see what he can do during this race. During this qualifying session, as Scrappy goes up into P6. Decent lap there, a 1:44.7. I'm just staying on board now with the Mercedes as he makes his way through Curve Pull Frere. And it will be Ben who goes quickest in the Aston Martin. It's a 1:43.4 flat. 4/10 clear of Swaggy's time. So that is a great banker for Ben, as we have got Rory, who have made their way into the session. They did say they were joining mid-quali. Luckily, they've managed to get in time. As here's Liam in the Mercedes through that final corner at the bus stop chicane. Heading up to the line. This is going to be a really good lap. It's nearly a second quicker. It's a 1:42.4 for Liam. And, of course, those are the type of laps you need to be setting when you're fighting for a championship, or at least hoping to try and fight for one. Liam at the moment sits 74 points off. But, of course, with an absence at the top, if he could win, could bring that gap down to around 50. And, of course, that is but it's a decent margin, I suppose, heading into the final four races. As here's Nuke Panda and Teto Compass in the standings, P3, and is 50 points off on 69 points. So this is such a big round for Nuke Panda if they want to try and challenge for that title. So we'll just keep an eye here with the Mercedes on this lap. Of course, Liam tops the time is in the Mercedes as well. Could be very good for that team standings as well. It's a 30.4 in Sector 1 for Nuke Panda. So not too shabby for the Mercedes. And then it's through Laycombe down towards Brussels corner. We'll have a look through here what sort of lap time Nuke Panda can set. It's looking decent so far for the Merc, because they accidentally touch a bit of grass on the inside at No Name. That's not really where you want to be touching grass, I think that's safe to say. He makes his way through in towards P1 and Double Gauche, and then in towards Lafania Chicane, or Piff Paff as it's also known as. And Nuke Panda looking decent on this one, just feeding the car through, and then it's chop on the brakes, down to fourth gear, back on the power again. And looks like a really good lap here. It's a 1:15.201 for Nuke Panda, and that's for the first and second combined. And Liam's there. Is that going to be for a bit of slipstream? No, I think just pulling out the way, and there is at the same bit of track at the same time. So hard on the brakes now for Panda, in towards the final corner. Let's see what sort of lap time it will be for the Mercedes. Up to the line, goes second. It's a 43.3, but still 9/10 off from Liam's time. So Liam is on absolute fire at the moment. There's just looking a little bit further down. We've got Joker on a lap in the McLaren. We've got Andy, also known as the A-Team, as well on a lap. Currently sits in 13th. And then Thams as well, who sits in 16th, is also on a lap. So let's see what the McLaren can do. If Joker up to the line, goes quickest by 4/10. It's a 1:42.0 for Joker. And of course has taken a couple of podiums this season. Yet to go and take a win. And with that sort of lap time, you've got to be looking at those possibilities. As Andy, or the A-team, goes into P5 and joins his teammates in that top 5. A great lap from him there. Just exactly 2/10 off the time of Ben. Then we also have a few more cars on 8 laps. We've got the bottom 3. Then we also have HB Cook, who is yet to set a time on this one. And of course, being 35 points back from our championship leader, with them not being here, it's got to be the sort of race you've got to be bouncing up in and taking pole and then taking the win. So let's see what HB Cook can do on this lap in the V-Carb. So of course, it's a short run down to turn 1 around Belgium. At La Source, get the car turned in nicely. Then it's back on the power on the exit straight away. And this is looking decent for the V-Carb driver as he makes his way up towards Eau Rouge and Radillon. Of course, through here it's flat all the way up the hill. Of course, using some of that battery on the exit and utilising that DRS, which of course in the next game I presume doesn't exist, being as in real life it doesn't exist anymore. DRS has parted its ways with the Formula 1 scene. We'll see what HB Cook can do with that DRS on this lap around Belgium. So it's down towards Brussels corner and it's looking tidy. It's not looking the quickest here for HB Cook compared to what we saw from Joker, but it is looking clean, and that's what you need on a lap. You need a really good clean lap, and over that 1 minute 40 seconds, that really does stop you from losing so much time. There's HB Cook there making his way through sector 2. It's a 14.3. Now that is a really good middle sector. Now I can't remember who it was, but I did see someone who had, I think it was a 1:15.2 in the middle sector. So that's really good for HB Cook as Liam Beard does go 5th. Ben's in 4th, so he must have also improved. Let's see what he can do heading into the final corner. What will it be here for HB Cook? Up to the line. Is it going to be pole? No. But does jump onto that second row ahead of Newt Panda. That's a very nice one for HB Cook, because Alex Hayho in the Williams is making his way through the middle sector at the moment. As we did see, I think it was Moose TTV, a 1:46.0. Does get a time on the board, but of course he's around 4 seconds off, and that's not really where you want to be in terms of pace, especially over a 22 lap race. Let's see what the Williams can do here. Of course, his teammate, Haggy, was the one we saw who had a couple of excursions off at Eau Rouge, and of course one of them unfortunately ended up in a DNF, and I'm still convinced that must be some sort of issue, because it did not seem like the car wanted to turn one bit whatsoever. So, Alex Hayho now into that final corner, heading up to the line for Williams. What lap time will it be on the board? He goes P11. It's a 1:44.514. Decent little lap for him, as we do have Liam here, who's up in Sector 1. So this could be a cracking lap here if the Mercedes can boost up in Sector 2 and Sector 3. Of course, I think that the Sector 2 is quite a tricky part here, because it's very easy to not bottom the car, but very easy to lose it and lose grip on the curbs through Lafania chicane. And here, very easy to lock up and go deep into the gravel. And Liam here is up by just over a 10th in Sector 2. So this is looking really good now for the Mercedes driver to try and challenge that top lap time of Joker, who has it by 0.4 of a second. So is this enough for Liam to go that one step higher and look to take pole position here around Belgium? No, he directs himself back into the pit lane. That's a late choice to go back into the pits. So obviously wasn't up by enough time and would rather go in and I'd assume go for one last lap in this session. So we'll go to Ben here, who's just heading through Sector 2. He's down by a second. So back to Newt Panda we go, who's found a 10th in Sector 1, but of course he's 1.3 seconds away from that pole position. So, of course, Sector 1's really one corner. That's pretty much it. You've got La Source, and then it's flat out all the way up towards Les Combes. So, a lot of the time you find in Sector 1 is either at La Source or by having lower wings. And, of course, we'll see that in Sector 2 when the drivers who have a really good Sector 1 end up dropping off slightly as New Panda goes wide, and that's going to be an invalidation. So we'll go to Ben, who I believe might be starting a lap. No, he's heading back into the pit lane. We've got Andy, who's on a lap. Harvey as well, who's already invalidated. That would have been at turn 1. And Swaggy is up by 0.8 here in the first 2 sectors. So, proving to be a decent time for the V-Carb. Of course, 0.8 will jump him up into P4. That'd be a great improvement for the V-Carb and would be great for the team's standings. And it is going to be P4 as it stands here for Swaggy. Around 6 tenths back from his teammate, but still has them sitting 3rd and 4th. So let's go and have a look at Joker here, who's found a 10th in Sector 1. But this is looking really solid now for the McLaren, as we do have a car just moving out of the way. It will be the teammate, the other McLaren of Harvey, who just moves over and lets Joker go through. Then through in towards Sector 2 here, into Lafanya chicane. Oh, and he's lost a bit of time there, ran a little bit wide slightly, did Joker. But let's see what Sector 2 will be. He's only found 46 thousandths on this lap, so it's, of course, going to increase that margin and could potentially put him into the 141s, but you really want to be extending that gap more and more, because I do feel like the likes of Liam and HB Cook have a lot more in the bag than what they've posted on the times at the moment. So let's see what Joker can do. Through in towards the bus stop chicane, up towards the line. Will it be an extension to that pole position? Yes, it will. Finds a 10th overall. It's a 141.951, and that is a great lap to, I presume, with the time remaining, because that's one of the Aston Martins going off, potentially end off your session. I don't know if you'll have enough time to go around and get back in and go out again. You're looking at least 3 minutes for that interchange, so this is probably all over now for Joker in terms of setting more times, as he is there to Nuhiu for the Haas team, sits 13th. As the A team's retired, and that is at the top of Eau Rouge and Raidillon. Again, another driver being a victim at the top of the hill. That is not good at all for Andy. There to Nuhiu goes up into the top 10. It's a 144.001. But I'm going to go on board here with Liam, who is making his way now for his final lap in this session. Has got 5 tenths to make on that pole position spot. Let's have a look at Sector 1 for Liam. He's found only 14 thousandths. He found a little bit more than that when he was out on his last lap, so he won't be too chuffed with that Sector 1. As there's a McLaren just in the way. And I'm not sure if that was Joker or if it's a car that's chose to DNF. I think it was Joker, yes, because the car that chose to DNF has just been teleported back to the pit lane. But let's see here, what can Liam do? Can he try and challenge for that pole position spot? As we have many other cars on laps as well. Liam Beard, who's dropped down to P7. He's only 4 tenths away from P4 himself, so lots to play for if you're a little bit further down the field. Swaggy is also retired from 4th. I think that was done in the pit lane, though. Of course, he went on his final run a little bit earlier than the others. So let's see here what Liam can do. There's just a few corners to go. Of course, a Ferrari in the way, who hopefully does move out the way for the Mercedes. They did, but I think it was Scrappy there spotted him a little bit too late and nearly ended up being rear-ended by the Mercedes. As we head into the final corner now, is this enough for Liam to jump one step higher, or at least extend that gap to HB Cook up to the line? Oh, and he's only 10 thousandths back, so it is P2 for Liam. And he's 10 1,000ths back away from pole position. So close to taking that. And of course, that's where you would have said that Sector 1 was not what helped him, as we do see Moose TTV solidify 15th, the 145.5. As Jack Reynolds, who I think had an issue earlier on, has managed to get back into this qualifying session. We have Liam Beeder as well, who's got a very decent middle sector. He's up by nearly 2 tenths overall, and that's good enough to go 5th. But But of course, if Nuke Panda and Ben also on laps, it could certainly drop him back down to 7th once more. I think the top 10 are very safe now. I don't think anybody's going to jump into there at the moment. Let's see what Liam Bearder can do. As Liam has retired from the session. Bearder go up to the line, goes 5th at 145.2. And Nuke Panda there, I think, just went into the gravel slightly. Through in towards Stavelo. He's up by half a second, though, in sector 2. As Ben has gone into 6th there. He's only 20 thousandths back from Liam Bearder himself. That drops third in the championship driver, Nuke Panda or Anteto Compass down to 7th. Of course, HB Cook is right behind Nuke Panda, I think. So that's going to be key to watch who takes those positions higher up the table. So Nuke Panda up to the line. Where can he go? It's 4th. And HB Cook improves, but it's only good enough to stay in 3rd place. So there we have it. It's Joker on pole for McLaren. Now, what a story that could be heading into this one. As we, of course, conclude the 18-minute qualifying around Spa, it's OWLS Joker on pole ahead of Liam in 2nd. That's your front row. Then it's HB Cook in 3rd. 6 tenths back from him is Nuke Panda in P4 with Swaggy reigning off the top 5. Then we have Liam Bearder, Ben, the A-Team, Harvey, and a Hey-Ho, the top 10. Then we have Dare to Nuhiu, Grief, Scrappy, Agent Siniolo, Moose TTV, Rory, Haggy, Jack Reynolds, and Thams, the top 19, and the full classification of the field, of course. Haggy retired, and Reynolds and Thams didn't never actually get a lap on the board. I think Jack Reynolds had issues. I'm not sure, though, about Thams. I think he just made a big mistake on his laps, as it looks very dull over the skies here in Spa. So, of course, as many people say, there's a bit of a microclimate, its own microclimate here around Spa. I can't remember the name of the forest, but obviously the forest itself is very attracted to rain, and then that means the circuit is also attracted to a lot of rain. So we'll have to see how the weather goes in this one. Of course, by any element of surprise, we could see a little bit of wet running. But of course, with HB Cook starting in the top 3, it's a big chance for him to bring that gap down to 20 points if he stays there. But of course, a win would bring that gap down to 10 points only to Puzzant heading into the final reigns of the season. Of course, we head off to Austria next time out. That'll be a really good race, that will, so make sure to stay tuned for next time as well. But of course, we have a race to go through here first in Belgium, as everybody is now just setting up their setups. They're getting their strategies sorted out. If they have any engineers, they're probably having a quick chat about sort of strategy and what they're looking to do through the race. Lots of pre-race preparation here for these guys. We'll just wait for everybody just to sort themselves out. Now here we go. It's 5 lights here. And it's away for the Belgian Grand Prix. And a really good start there from Joker, who heads into turn 1 in the lead. Oh, that's late on the brakes, and nearly Nuke Panda taking out his own teammate. They do make a slight bit of contact on the exit. And Nuke Panda drops down to 4th place as it's HB Cook who's fighting with Liam for 2nd. They're side by side up where Rouge and Radion, who will claim 2nd place here. And it's still the Mercedes of Liam, and HB Cook has dropped down to 4th place during all of that. And could even be 5th here as Liam Bearder is also on the attack. HB Cook, though, is back on the inside of Nuke Panda. He's going to have to keep his will in it all the way through here. Swaggy's involved as well, as trying to get a good camera angle here of the action. And Nuke Panda up into 3rd, HB Cook down to 4th with Liam Bearder and Swaggy, the top 6. Looking further down as well, we've got a few cars. Oh, dear me, there's contact everywhere. A couple of cars around. Swaggy and I believe it was Rory around. And then, of course, the A-Team as well, dropping back a couple of spots. So a very, very hectic start here around Spa. And, of course, all of that has led Hey-Ho up into the top 6. But, of course, already has a 1.5 second gap back to Liam Bearder. And that is not where you want to be so early on. You need that DRS heading onto the 2nd and 3rd laps, so you can just stay with everybody ahead of you. But, of course, great work by Joker to try and pull that gap out to over a second to Liam already on that first lap. And maybe this is just one of those tracks which Joker is so comfortable at. He's, you know, already got such an advantage heading down to the end of lap 1, as we see for 16th place there, Scrappy and Signalol having a scrap through that middle set to dear me. A couple of cars nearly ended up in the barriers. Oh, that was close. As I think it was Haggy who was involved there in the Williams. Does make his way through into 14th anyway. But that was a scary moment there for a couple of cars. I think the Alpine of Agent Signola was involved, as he is HB Cook having a battle with Liam Bearder. And further down we have Jack Reynolds looking to make moves already up into the top 10 in that Ferrari. And then further back as well. Oh, that's a car into the gravel. Haggy is just rejoined. I think it was Signola and Haggy that had the contact as they head their way up Eau Rouge and Radillon. And all the cars just trying to file their way through here. The Williams really stopping the others from going through. Oh, dear me. And we'll keep a look. We'll stop looking at that one because that one's getting rather interesting. As we do have here, Dare to New here dropping down places. We've got somebody who's spun somewhere as Andy is making a move ahead of Grief and Rory going ahead of Harvey. Who, of course, must have been one of those involved in that early contact. And Harvey's actually gone all the way around. He's down to 19th now. He's going to have to just recoup and try and push forward that way. But not good at all for Harvey. As now watching HB Cook all over the back of Newt Panda. So this will be a really interesting battle now between these three. Of course, Liam Bearder, definitely part of this battle, was challenging HB Cook a couple of times in the first 2 laps here around Belgium. And then, of course, up at the front, Joker's got such an advantage now over Liam. 1.1 seconds, no DRS threat at all. And then it's 2 seconds between Liam and Newt Panda. And, of course, that's not good for HB Cook as Signola has gone round. Now, I'm not sure what's happening here, but I think there's some little bits of naughty action between a couple of these drivers. As, yes, I think Haggy might have a few harsh words being given to him after this one because racecraft is not what I've been seeing from him today. As we continue on. And Joker's made a mistake because Liam is back in that DRS now, and this is crucial for Liam. Of course, now he's in it, he can stay there because he'll gain about 4 or 5 tenths down this straight in towards Les Camps. And of course, he can just keep bringing that gap down. And as long as he doesn't lose around like 6 tenths over the rest of the lap, he's in a really good spot just to stay in that DRS train of Joker. And of course, work together to pull away from HB Cook. I mean, that's the main objective, really. As Jack Reynolds is looking to make a move into P9 to go ahead of the Red Bull. Does make a move ahead of the Red Bull. Now we can see as well, Grief DM also looking to try and retaliate as we've got Dare to New here making a double move in towards Brussels corner. And that's him up to 10th place and Grief down to 11th. Swaggy and Thams as well are looking to make their way through in this battle. What a start we've had here around Belgium. 3 laps in and it feels like we've had the race in action of about 20. Great driving by these drivers so far. As we're looking at the tyres as well. Mediums all around, bar 3 drivers being the A-team, Jack Reynolds and Grief. Everybody else is happy to commit to the mediums. Of course, I presume it will be medium hard in this one. I don't think 2 stops are featured often around Belgium, but of course, I'll wait to be proven wrong by our drivers. Just heading a little bit further up the field. Here's Liam Bearder on the back of Newt Panda. Of course, he got overtaken by HB Cook earlier on. I think that was when I was looking at the battle further down the field. But the VCOB is now in that top 3. And that's a great pace for him to try and just bring that gap down. I think with the pace we saw from him in quali, he's definitely got the opportunity to bring it down to Liam. You know, and maybe himself after 10 laps or so could get in that DRS of Liam and Joker and really give himself a chance at going for the win. As we can see that gap there between Newt Panda and HB Cook around 2 tenths of a second, so I presume now he'll stay behind, will Newt Panda, not opting to go for the overtake as there's moves happening for the Mac, Haggy and Signola. Oh, they're having a little scrap at the bottom. Harvey's decided to call it quits here in this one as Swaggy's going ahead of Grief DVM. He makes a move into 11th place and a great move as well for the VCARB driver. There's Thams as well. He's been overtaken by Scrappy, and I think he's actually made a mistake more than be overtaken. So he's dropped down to 14th now and has immediately lost that DRS. As Newt Panda already been given 3 seconds worth of penalties for multiple warnings. Now, in 4 laps, 3 track limit violations. He's really not good, and that could set up for many more penalties over the course of the race. And of course that already puts Liam Beda into a net 4 spot if he can stay within 3 seconds of Newt Panda. And of course further back as well, Jack Reynolds is really on the move. He's closing in now on the back of Andy, who of course is on that same tyre, the hard tyres. They're going for that different strategy, looking for the... Well, it's initially an overcut because you've got to go around maybe 4 or 5 laps longer than those on the mediums. But of course, towards the end of the race, you get the better tyres compared to those on the harder tyres. So if you're good at making overtakes and you're really good at bringing gaps down, hard to medium could be the way to go in this one. As now Jack all over the back of Andy, down towards turn number 1. And of course, HB Cook in third has dropped Newt Panda. And that gap's now over a second. So HB Cook getting the business done early. And now he can just focus on solely getting ahead, or at least closing in to getting ahead of Liam and Joker. Of course, with no Newt Panda battling behind, he's got a lot of free air just to push forward in this one, as Thams has also been given a penalty. And we have somebody off. It's Haggy, who's off in the gravel at turn 1, and I think he's rejoining, but of course he's nowhere near anything. He's going to have to try and make his way back onto track. And he does do so. So the Williams at the back of the field continues on in 18th. Of course, we did unfortunately lose Harvey earlier on. I think it wasn't any sort of crash. I think it was more... Oh, as Haggis retired and brought out a safety car. Dear me. Dear me. I mean, I don't like to comment and talk about drivers badly, but I mean, what he was doing in the race was poor, and he was just rage quitted himself out of the session. So, yeah, it's not what we'd like to see at all. So it is going to be a safety car on lap 5 of 22. Now, do the leaders pit? Yes, they do. Now, this is a really bad spot for Jack Reynolds, which I said earlier was good, hard to medium. But with the safety car being brought out, it's really, really poor. Because it means they're going to have to, you know, they can't go on the mediums all the way to the end. They've got to continue on in this one. So they could, I think, oh no, they won't take the lead, will they? Because they're being held back by the safety car gap. Of course, they have to keep to their delta. They will join, they will jump a few positions. It just won't be into any of the top 3. And it just about makes his way into 3rd. Jack into 4th, and HB Cook. Now, that is poor. He's dropped behind both. Joker's spun! Joker has spun under the safety car. Oh dear me! The driver who had the pace, miles above what it seemed to be everybody else, has spun under the safety car. But I don't know how he spun there. Because that is... there's no braking zone between La Source and Eau Rouge. So I really don't know what has happened there to Joker. Unless maybe he's hit the back of the safety car, or if he's had to slam the brakes on and the rear's just span round. But he's now dropped down to 5th place. So Liam, of course, is in the lead, with 2 hard runners not on the same strategy behind. If HB Cook and Joker can't get on the move quickly, Liam has got such an opportunity to really make that race his. Because the pace between Liam and the A-team and Jack Reynolds will be quite different. I reckon maybe 5-6 tenths a lap at the moment, with it being 5-lap old hards, which, yes, are 5-lap old hards, but around some tracks, that'd be like 8 or 9-lap old hards. Like, it's such a long lap that say no, it's a 1-lap old tyre really doesn't justify how much wear it's got on it compared to the likes of Austria, which is around, it's like, this is like 1 3/4 a lap of Austria. So, interesting here for Joker. Not the way he would have expected that to go. We'll be keen to see later on what happened to Joker. And Liam's also just asked what happened there. So Liam, I think, is also a little bit, I wouldn't say bemused. Well, is a bemused a word? Not amused, but a bit like, whoa. You know, how has that actually happened? Because Liam would have probably seen what happened to Joker because he was right behind him. So I bet he's like, okay. But at least it gives me the lead. I suppose he can think of it that way. And of course, looking a little bit further down the field. So it's Alex Hayho, who was up to 6th earlier. He's now reigning off the top 10. So points could be going his way this evening. And you've got Grief, DVM, Ben, Nuke, Panda, Liam Bearder, Joker, HB Cook, Jack Reynolds, the A-Team, and Liam. That is all of your top 10. But of course, the A-Team and Jack Reynolds have to pit at some point. So they're not going to stay 2nd and 3rd. So, you know, Dare 2, New Here, and Swaggy could, you know, be looking at quite a couple of points here if they can try and make some early moves, especially with those who've got to pit ahead of them. So safety car should be in this lap, I believe, heading on to lap 8, because everybody's caught up together. Unless anybody tries the funny idea of trying to pit again and keeping it out for longer, but I don't think they will. I think the safety car should be in, heading on to the start of lap 8, and then of course we'll have, what's that, my math is so poor, 14 laps of racing around Belgium. Of course, those on the hards who've pitted will comfortably make it to the end, I think. I don't think they'll be worrying at all about tyre wear. Of course, A-Team and Jack Reynolds, they've got to pit. There we are, safety car is in this lap. They've got to pit at some point during this one. I think maybe around lap 15. That gives them about 7 laps on the mediums, so normally after about 5 or 6 laps, your advantage really starts to die out. So I think lap 14, lap 15 is the perfect time, really, for the hard runners to pit onto the mediums. Of course, if another safety car comes out and they've managed to stay up in that top 5, or at least the top 10, that really helps them, because then other drivers will be forced into pitting just because they have to. So another safety car could help them, but also a decent bit of pace could also help these guys. But back to Liam at the front of the field, as he will get us back underway through the final corner. And he has gone very early. A great run by Liam, has not really had any pressure from anybody behind, but it was a really poor start from Joker, who's down to 5th, well, down into 5th, and already under pressure from Liam Bearder behind in P6. And I suppose with that mistake Joker's made, sometimes you get a little bit of head loss, and your head's not right in the right mind, and you end up just losing pace and just trying to overfight the car to catch back up to everybody else. As Alex Hayho made a move ahead of Grief DVM up into 9th for the Williams, so a great start for him. Then here goes HB Cook, who needs to get these moves done early. Gets ahead of Jack Reynolds, and I don't think the Ferrari will fight that one because there's no need to, as Nuke Panda goes ahead of Liam Bearder. That's a great move by the Mercedes, as also Ben is looking to go ahead of Liam Bearder as well in that Aston Martin. He's not quite close enough at the moment, has to back out of that one heading into Brussels corner, and nearly takes a Sabre offline with him as we make our way in towards No Name. And then back down towards Puon. And Rory and Scrappy are having an argument for 13th. And Scrappy's got the move done and moves up another spot. And then back to HB Cook here, who's closing in heavily on the A-Team, or Andy. Moose TTV with a penalty. Not good when you're sitting down in 15th to receive one of those. Now, big chance for HB Cook, because the A-Team has lost the DRS to Liam. HB Cook will get DRS up towards Eau Rouge, so it'll be a simple move either way. It just depends how much time that they lose over the course of the next few corners. So as we head into the bus stop chicane, back down towards turn 1 we go. And HB Cook is on that outside line. He's going to, I think, probably choose to sit behind the A-Team here. He's got to anyway, because the A-Team hugs the inside line. DRS-wise, they've both, well, HB Cook will have it, but no DRS for the A team. There's Liam Beda and Ben having a battle for P7. And I think Liam Beda has just about kept the Aston Martin behind, but Alex Aho has joined that battle as well. He's looking to jump up into P7 as HB Cook goes into second place. I want to keep an eye on that battle further back. We've got Nuke Panda and Joker having a battle, and Nuke Panda goes ahead, and then we've got Ben, Liam Beda and Alex Aho having a bit of a scrap in towards the Laycom chicane. Oh dear me, that was a daring one from Dare to Nuhiu. Up into 10th ahead of Grief VDM as Moist TTV as well making a move. So lots of battling on lap 9 of 22. As we get ever so close up to the halfway distance. Of course, that being on lap 11 of this race. And now Joker, of course, being on pole by, I think it was 10 thousandths, but of course had such an advantage before that. Had a really good start of the race. Gapped Liam to about a second and a half. Spun under the safety car, and that's cost him the chance of a podium here because I don't think he will. It just depends. Well, actually, I'll say that. The A-Team and Jack Reynolds have got to pick. Panda's got a penalty. You're looking at net P3. But Ben and Liam and Alex, they're going to have a lot of pace to give as well. So this is a really, really big race for Joker, of course. Has taken 2 podiums already this season. Let's not, forget that. He has taken podiums, but it's all about just trying to, keep doing it consistently and moving your way up in the championship as Nuke Panda gets a move done ahead of Jack Reynolds. And Ben, oh, what's happened to Joker? He's made another mistake. This time at the exit of the bus stop chicane, and he's down to 10th place. And just as I said, maybe P3's on the cards. I curse him immediately, and he's down to the bottom half of the points scoring positions. We did see as well, I think it was, who was it? I think it might have been Rory, but one of the Haas cars had a bit of a moment heading through the final corner as well. As here we go, a move has been made for the lead. HB Cook goes ahead of Liam and now takes the lead of the race. And of course, if it stays that way, puts himself into the only 10 points away from the top of the standings as Nuke Panda goes ahead of A-Team. He's dispatched those guys, and of course, if he can just pull the 3-second gap back to Ben, as we've got Swaggy and Rory having a battle for, oh dear me, someone's into the barriers. It was Moose DTV in the white Red Bull. He went into the barriers, has lost part of his front wing, but luckily it was not a safety car caused by that one. There's looking a bit further ahead here. Hey Ho is on the back of Liam Bearder. This is for 7th place between these two as they head through in towards the Fanish chicane. I don't say the Lafania because it's le in French is the. So it's a bit like saying the Fania chicane. So I'll just stick with Lafania. There we go, makes it a bit simpler. Especially for those that might speak both languages. Like, hang on, the. As Joker goes ahead of Dare to New here and makes up 1 spot after his mistake a moment ago. Of course, wasn't ideal at all for Joker. Of course, in the standings himself was, I think, he was around P7 or P8, and I think even for him, 25 points would boost you so far up the standings, especially when you're in the lower part of the top 10. So, really poor for Joker not to be able to do that today. I mean, he could do, but I don't think it'll be that likely for the McLaren to do the pole to win. But of course, still could get some decent points in this one as Liam and HB Cook again having a bit of a tussle down towards Laycom, and Liam I think was a bit, he was umming and ahhing whether to go for the move or not, but in the end decided to back out and give HB Cook the place as Ben is now closing in on the back of these two on the hard tyres. Of course, as the race has gone on, their hard tyres are getting worse and worse, and Ben's just got to use that advantage he has to make the move early on. As, oh dear me, that's contact between the two. Jack Reynolds still trying to keep with the Ferrari. So they make their way out of No Name, and that was really, really close to both of their races being over. It was a slight bit of contact, barely anything. But of course, it ended up with Ben having a bit of a jiggle and nearly ending up out of this one, as we can see as well. Liam Bearder trying to go ahead of the Ferrari himself. He's sitting P7 at the moment. Of course, on for comfortable points is Liam Bearder. He's looked really strong in this one, not in terms of his raw pace, but he's not made that many mistakes. Every time we see drivers making an issue, it's not normally him. He's quite consistent, sitting in P7 at the moment. As of course further back we've got Joker, who's on the back of Alex Sejo, looking to make a move and go. Oh dear me, that was scary. Through Blanchemont corner, he took the outside line and overall takes a position up to 8th now for Joker. He's got to get these moves done now and just not straggle behind these who are probably slower than him on pace. He's back down towards turn 1 we go now. Lap 12 of 22. And hey-ho under pressure from Dare to New Hiu. And we can see Rory is in the pit lane. So we'll see what sort of tyre he's going on to now. Brand new. Is it going to be hards? It certainly will be. So tyre change for him. As we do see there, Liam Beater. Sorry, that's Joker being overtaken by Hey-Ho. So back then to 9th now for Joker. And of course, you know, without DRS to the car ahead, you do struggle so much to keep those behind because such a long run down towards Lacombe chicane, it's very easy to get a wheel alongside and go ahead as that's a send back from Joker. Looking to go ahead of the Williams. It's side by side through in towards No Name. Oh, and just about keeping ahead was Alex Sejo. Only slightly. But in the end, of course, he's still awarded with the 8th place spot here in this one. As HB Cook and Liam still close. Half a second between the two. As, oh dear mate, Joker's gone for the move again. And this time has got it done. Has got it complete in towards Lithania chicane. And Joker now could focus on trying to get ahead of Jack Reynolds, who I'll say has not handled the situation as well as the A-team did. He's handled it really well. So I think now it's just about seeing what the A-team can do in terms of what lap to pit. I mean, with the fact he's got 10 laps to go, hit around lap 14, he's not going to drop that far back. He might drop behind. I think he'll get out ahead of. Oh no, it won't be. It might just be behind Agent Siniolo. Will be ahead of Rory. His Joker is trying to keep Alex Hey-Ho behind, but of course has got to try and get ahead of Jack Reynolds as he closes in, does the McLaren into turn 1. Oh, and Hey-Ho shoots his way through into the first corner. And then looking further ahead, let's keep an eye on the leaders. Once again, Liam chasing down the V-Carb. And is this going to be a move made? I don't think it will be again, no. But this is a key battle to watch. Liam Beater, Ben, and the A-team. Now, do the Aston Martins work together to keep Liam Beater behind? No, they have a battle themselves. And Ben, in the end, goes through ahead of Andy and claims that P4 spot. And, of course, with all the battling, Nuke Panda has got to get a podium despite the 3-second time penalty awarded to him on lap 4. Very long time ago did Nuke Panda get the penalty. And it also makes me wonder, being as he got a penalty so early, was it, you know, maybe a double warning or a triple warning? Was it a legitimate penalty because of how early the 3 seconds was claimed? As here's Liam Beater looking to go ahead of Andy, through in towards Puon. They make contact, they get stuck together through the corner. Joker goes through. Jack Reynolds is back on the scene. He makes a move as well. And Beater, I think, just about keeps ahead of the Ferrari. But of course, that has led to Joker back into the top 5 now after earlier. Still trying to battle for 9th place. So, great reactions there from Joker just to slide his way through. Siniolo, again, gets given a 3-second penalty. He's there to New Hiu on the back of Alex Sejo. Of course, these two were battling earlier on, and I don't think there was ever any position change between these, so I think they just ended up staying in that same order as all. They're closing in on the back of the A-team, but not enough to make a move. Bit of a slight half spin there for Dare to New Hiu, so he drops time to Hey-Ho, who had a really poor exit out of the bus stop chicane. Is it enough for a move to the inside? No. Drops back, does Dare to New Hiu. Scrappy is in the pit lane on lap 13. Lap 14th in 13th. Goes into the pits. Agent Siniolo as well. He's also in the pit lane. Then also noticing here the A-team is closing in again on the back of Jack Reynolds. And of course these two on the same strategy. So these two will be overtaking each other if they need to. But of course we do make our way onto the 14th lap of the race. 8 to go in this race, so will be interesting to see what happens between HB Cook and Liam. But on this lap, HB Cook has really put the pace down and he's stretching that gap now to 7/10 back to Liam. So if he can get it over a second, you could be calling the race from there pretty much. We head our way through in towards Stavalo and Paul Fair again, and a bit of gravel being scraped up there by Liam, who actually loses the 1 second gap. So, looking at, never mind. HB Cook has made a mistake and lost 3/10. I'll take that one back. So back into DRS now for Liam. Of course, has got to use it down towards turn number 6. Oh, and that's a lock up in towards chicane. Of course, you get a small dose here down towards turn 1. It's not really the biggest dose of DRS. I don't think it promotes moves. It just keeps you with that car heading down towards La Source. And then, of course, you get your next dose of DRS down towards Lecomte. So we'll have to see here what Liam can do. But, of course, HB Cook looks quite comfortable in that position, as Alex Hayhoe is in the pit lane in 10th from Williams, so he's going to be in to make a change. Grief DVM as well, he's also into the pits, so he'll have a change of tyre. Now has Liam got what it takes to go for the move? No, I think it might be tactical here, because he gains in then stops gaining, so maybe he's just letting the battery fizzle out a bit and not really using all of it down that straight to get past HB Cook at the time. As, of course, look at the gap between Ben and Nuke Panda. 4 seconds still means it'll be a podium on the cards for Ben, for Nuke Panda, which is exactly what he would need in his championship fight. If you lose another 3 points, you start to lose so many, of course. In terms of HB Cook, he's going to lose 10 points to him, but of course gain 15 and bring that gap down to 35. Puzant, so a couple more mistakes for him and a couple good results for Nuke Panda. It's one of those where you could end up being in the lead of the standings come the end of the season. You've got to take everything, everything when you can. Make it the best you can, as well as Joker's got back within a second of Ben. So we'll have to see what Joker can do. Of course, he had that mistake earlier on, which cost him the win. I'm fully confident to say he would have won this race without that thing what happened. And I'm going to definitely have it. Send a message to Joker after and figure out what happened, because it was not a normal sort of issue. At least I don't think it was anyway. We make our way through the bus stop chicane to begin lap 16 of 22. This is Joker on the back of Ben, and that gap has shot down to half a second as A-Team and Jack Reynolds on lap 16 have gone in. So new tyres for those guys. Now, of course, it's time for Ben to try and fend off Joker. This could be a great battle as the move for the lead could be on the cards. Liam is on the inside of HB Cook, who's got that outside line in towards Lecomte. They're going to take it side by side through the corner. HB Cook back up the inside. They go deep, does Liam. They still try and make it through. There's a slight bit of contact again. They're side by side once more. And who's going to have that inside line, the crucial line into the corner? Liam's got it, but I think on the entry towards No Name, it will be HB Cook who keeps that leading spot. What a battle between our top two in this race on lap 16 of 22. Now we have a right battle down towards Lecomte. It's three cars here, all battling for one spot. It's Swaggy, A-Team, Reynolds, Hayhoe, all making their way through. As Hayhoe gets given a penalty during the course of that one, a slide from Thams behind. Loses him around 4 or 5 tenths. And of course, the A-Team and Jack Reynolds have just pitted onto mediums, so they will be absolutely flying on these tyres. But they've also got to bring 14 seconds of a gap down, so that's where you start to think, oh, with only 6 laps to go, how possible is it looking here for them to really try and change something and really make a challenge in this race? I mean, that'd be great if they can do, but I mean, they got to bring down 2 seconds a lap to Swaggy, so it's looking unlikely, but at least they're going to confirm top 10 by just having the overall pace over those behind them. That's the main thing. Having pace against those who are fighting with you. There's Moose TTV, another penalty, another 3 seconds. Then in 16th, 10 seconds away from 15th. I think it's safe to say the Red Bull driver hasn't had the best evening today. As Liam and HB Cook once again are battling for the lead. And this time, HB Cook is taking a bit more of an inside line, but he drops out to the outside in towards Lecomte. Liam's back there once again, but this time had not enough cornering speed through. And HB Cook keeps position, as now we can see Joker up into 4th place, looking to recover some key points. Of course, if he can bring that gap down by 2 seconds, he is in the mix for a podium, which is, I think, insane considering he's down in 10th. As we have 5 laps to go here around Belgium. So around I'd say around 9 minutes, probably. Maybe a little bit more than that. As we have had, that's a collision at turn 1. Signal and Moose TTV have collided. And they will continue on, but of course, all the way down in 16th and 17th. I think it's yet again safe to say, not being their evening. Signal will not be happy. And I think his race could have gone a lot better if he didn't have the incidents with Haggy at the start. So it's a really big shame for Signal, who's looking to make the move. But back to the leaders. Liam is all over the back of HB Cook again. And you start to think, is HB Cook starting to suffer here from a little bit of pressure from the Mercedes behind, as we have yet again another caution. And yet again those who have collided at the end of the first sector at Les Combes. Signal and Moose TTV. And heading out of the source. Liam's lost maybe half a tenth there. No, he's lost 3/10 there to HB Cook after a slide out of the source. And I also think here that maybe Liam has higher wings than HB Cook, because he's not gaining as much as I thought he would do. I mean, look at this here. He was 6/10 back at the start of the straight. It's came down to not even a tenth. So I think here HB Cook has much lower wings than what Liam has got on his car. It also explains why in the corners and sector 2, Liam is so quick as well. Really shows. Swaggy, 7th now. Goes up another spot ahead of Dare 2 New Hiu, who are both looking to score some very decent points, as the 18 goes ahead of Jack Reynolds, and they've brought that gap down by 4 seconds in 2 laps, to be fair. So this could get close between the Haas and the Aston Martin. Could get really close as Grief DVM goes ahead of Rory. P12 now for the Red Bull. Another position made, and with penalties around, if any penalties get given post-race, could be looking for a top 10. Never have it out of the window. As our leaders make it through to start lap 19 shortly. 3 laps to go in the Belgian Grand Prix. Of course, HB Cook has taken a win this season, but it was in the sprint in Japan. Liam has taken a win in Monaco, so Liam's looking for 2. HB Cook, he's looking for his first win in the main race. Of course, I've done it in the side event, in the sprint, but not yet in the main feature. So both of them will be looking to win here today. Of course, Liam winning will bring that gap down to 49 points between him and Puzant. So then you've then got, I think, the top 4 separated by less than 50 points, which heading into the final 4 rounds, so exciting for your championship fight. So head through in towards sector 2 again. And Ben, I think, even though we've got, I think, you know, Joker brought that gap down by the second so quick, but Ben's kept with him very comfortably. So I wouldn't say Ben's done a bad job here. I just think he got caught a little bit off guard. Maybe when he wasn't using all that full pace that he's got in his Aston Martin. As Swaggy gets given a penalty, so that gifts Dare to New Hiu a 7th place, or Chef Thomas. Jack Reynolds goes ahead of Andy and goes into 9th. Oh, and Andy tries to swing it around the outside and, you know, has the pace, but ends up clipping the back left tyre of the Ferrari. As Scrappy also takes a penalty down in 14th. Not been too good of a race for him either. Of course, the top 10 score points in this one, I think it's the normal F1 system. 25, 18, 15, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2 and 1. As the 2 leaders are close again. As we head on to lap 22 laps to go in this one. And HB Cook has the lead. But Liam yet again looking so close down to turn 1. I think this is the closest we've seen Liam in a while. Heading to La Source. But of course he just got to get a decent exit, which he never seems to do. He's lost a whole 10th on the back of HB Cook there, which when you're looking for the lead, and we've got to be bringing that gap down, you've got to be taking the position, you've got to be bringing the gap, like, you've got to be bringing the gap down quickly. As here goes Liam again. It's down towards half a tenth. Is this enough for Liam to go into the lead of the race? Because HB Cook, you can just see the lower wings on that V-carb. He tries to keep his wheel in there, but he can't. So Liam takes the lead of the Grand Prix with 2 laps to go, and he's looking to try and win 2 Grand Prix in 3 races, as Liam there was looking to defend from HB Cook, who can't quite go ahead. And now this is key. What can Liam do to pull away, but what can HB Cook do to keep himself there? As the air team and Jack Reynolds are having a battle again, and this time it's Andy going back into 9th. And those two will just keep swapping every lap now until the end. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. Trying to bring that gap down to Dare 2 New Hero with around 2 laps to go. And yet again, that gap has came down by another 3 seconds in the past 2 laps. So they can get within if they can get within 3 seconds, or at least if Jack Reynolds can get within 3 seconds of Swaggy, that's P8 on the cards for him, which would be amazing. As let's see now that the low wings here for HB Cook. He was 5.5 tenths back at the start of the straight. It flies down. It's down to 3 tenths, 2 tenths. You know, he's gained what, 3 tenths then that whole straight. He's got a way lower wings than Liam, and of course we saw that gap drop back in the middle sector. But in the first and the third, he's absolutely on fire. So let's see what sort of battle we get between these two as we head on to the penultimate lap of racing here around Spa. It's Liam versus HB Cook, as Agent Siniolol has been given a penalty. 10 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. He retires with 2 to go. And let's see here, what can HB Cook do to go ahead of Liam? He's burning. Well, Liam hasn't really. Sorry, HB Cook hasn't got much battery. Liam's not got much either. And this looks like an easy stroll past for HB Cook, unless Liam can stay ahead, and he does. Liam keeps that Mercedes ahead of the V-carb. Now, yet again on the exit here, though, HB Cook's got a decent run down towards Brussels corner, but backs out. Isn't quite alongside to go for the move. So he stays in P2. There's move made there by Dare to New Hero. Goes ahead of Swaggy. Of course, got that position anyway because of penalties, but now has it definitely confirmed on track. As there was a red yellow flag there for, I think it was Moose TTV, making a mistake up the top of the hill at Radion. He continues on. As that was a penalty as well being given out to another driver, of course. Many of them near the back have got loads of penalties. I mean, some of them have got 3 or 4 pens. But then those at the front, you can just see that level of skill they have over the others, because they don't have to worry at all about too many penalties being given out. As here's HB Cook again, gaining in, but wants DRS mainly on Liam. Your main aim really, get that DRS. And Liam's made a mistake though on the exit of the final corner. Heading on to the final lap of racing. And it's Liam versus HB Cook, looking for the win here. Nobody else is within touching distance between the top 2. So let's see, will it be Liam? Will it be HB Cook who takes the win around this track? Up Eau Rouge and Radion for the final time, and look at the gap. It's 2.5 tenths. This could be an easy sweep past for HB Cook in the V-carb, as it's down towards Lacon we go. Inside for the V-carb. Liam's trying to defend that one. I don't think he can. Who's going to be heading towards Lacon? I think it may be HB Cook. Liam swings it around this one. Oh, but HB Cook goes round. And there's contact, and HB Cook goes round on the last lap of racing. Liam continues on in the lead. New Panda goes through into 2nd place. And oh dear me, HB Cook has contact with Liam and drops down to 3rd place. Of course, it will be 2nd due to the penalty for Newt Panda. But dear me, there's contact and chaos on the final lap of racing here around Belgium. We do see as well Swaggy goes ahead of Dare to New Hero, who gets given a penalty. He needs to get that position back for P7. But what a shame. What a big shame there for HB Cook. I mean, that battle, I think, could have carried on all the way through sets 2 and 3. That was so powerful, though. So his Joker gets a penalty. Now he'll drop down below Ben. So we could have a real mix-up of who's on the podium here. I think it could be Liam, HB Cook and Ben. The top 3. Just depends on the gaps between them all. But, of course, despite the contact there, what a race for Liam. I mean, I'm not too sure who was at fault there. We've got a really poor angle of the contact. But it's Liam who comes out on top. Of course, took that win in Monaco a couple of rounds ago. We'll bring that gap down to the leader to 49 points with 4 races remaining. So through the final corner in the Mercedes to take 2 wins this season, it's Liam, 54. Newt Panda as well will come across the line to take second place, but of course penalty denies him, and HB Cook will take that podium in the end. And the battle for third rages on, and it'll be Benning to fourth, and Newt Panda goes to third, and Joker reigns off the top 5, Liam Beder in P6, and then of course we've got to file through with everybody else. We've got penalties. Oh, Swaggy's gone round at the final corner. Swaggy's gone round. So P7 was on the cards. It's now definitely not P7. It still will be a top 10 though. It's Jack Reynolds. What a race for him. On the hard to medium, finishes 7th place. Andy down to 9th. Dare to New. He splits a 2 in 8. Swaggy 10th. Hey-Ho in 11th. Then we'll have Grief DVM in 12th place. Followed by Rory, Thams, Scrappy and Moose TTV. All to rained off the field. I mean, what's happened there to Scrappy? It looked a little bit... Well, he had a puncture there. He looked really, really squeamish through that final corner. And then, of course, we have got one car left who will be Moose TTV, who's just got to make his way through into the final couple of corners. But dear me, what a shame there for HB Cook and Liam. I mean, I didn't expect to see those two coming together. Lots of drivers just giving through their comments. Andy not happy with Liam. Liam saying sorry to Henry just in case it was his fault. Jack Reynolds saying great race to Andy. I agree, those two had a great race. And then Chef Tom as well saying to Mr. S, not sure who that is. I am so sorry. I think that could be Swaggy. So that makes me think those two had contact in that one. But there we go. What a race around Belgium. I mean, it had a bit of a lull points. Safety car 1 came out due to Hagate, I think it was. And then, of course, after that, all hell broke loose. And we had a last lap battle for the lead, which ended in contact and ended in a Liam win by 6 comfortable seconds over HB Cook in second. Newt Panda reigning off the top 3 despite the issues that he faced. Then we had Ben in 4th, Joker reigning off the top 5, Liam Beard, Jack Reynolds, Dare 2, New Hero, A-Team and Swaggy the top 10. We had Hey-Ho, Grief DVM, Rory, Thams, Scrappy, Moose TV, Agent Cineolo, Haggy and Harvey LFC. Of course, we did lose the bottom 3 there. Agent Cineolo, Haggy and Harvey. But there we have it. What a race around Belgium. Looking at the calendar, heading into the final few races of the season. 4 to go. Next time out, we head to Spielberg, Austria at the Red Bull Ring. Then we have Singapore, Silverstone for 8 and 9. And then we round off the season. It's a sprint weekend. And it's at Las Vegas. What a track to end off the season, especially if we have a championship fight. But, guys, that's all from us here for round 6 of the OWLS Racing League, of course, on the QR codes and in the description as well. You can get involved with the OWLS Racing community and also just the OWLS Esports community on a whole, of course, the official esports organisation for Sheffield Wednesday FC. So if you can get involved, do certainly get involved, because it's not just F1 we do football, I think there's Warzone as well, Call of Duty, many games are featured in this scene, so make sure to get involved if you can, guys. But of course, a big thank you from me, and a big thanks to everybody else that took part this race. So that's all for now. Have a good week, guys, and we'll see you next time, 15th of Feb, as we